After Alex Pereira's emphatic victory at UFC 320, Dana White revealed that the Brazilian champion expressed his desire to move up to the heavyweight division. While White acknowledged Pereira's ambition, he showed some hesitation, noting that Pereira previously competed at 185 pounds, and that jumping 2 divisions might be too big of a leap. However, former UFC champion Michael Bisping sees things differently. Speaking on his I Believe You Men podcast, Bisping argued that Pereira's frame and power make him a natural fit for heavyweight. He suggested that instead of chasing a super fight with Jon Jones at the rumored White House event, Pereira should aim for a showdown with Tom Aspinall for the heavyweight title, potentially headlining the UFC's first major event with its new broadcast partner, Paramount. Bisping elaborated that Pereira reportedly weighed around 234 pounds just one day after his last weigh-in, and could easily bulk up to 240 or even 245 pounds, a perfectly competitive size for the heavyweight division. According to him, Pereira's transition would make sense not only physically, but also historically, offering the chance for an unprecedented achievement. The matchup just lines up perfectly, Bisping said. Forget about the White House card, that's going to be Americans versus non-Americans. A theme celebrating 1776. Pereira's Brazilian, and Tom Aspinall is British, so that fight doesn't fit that particular event. But look at the timing. Pereira just dominated last weekend, and if Aspinall gets past Cyril Gane, a Pereira versus Aspinall fight in early 2026 would be the perfect way to tune-in. Bisping went on to highlight the potential stakes of such a fight. That would be a massive matchup, he continued. It gives Pereira the opportunity to become the first ever 3-division UFC champion, and if he loses, there's no harm done. He can always stay at light heavyweight. It's a bold idea, but one that fits Pereira's fearsome momentum and ambition. With his explosive striking and confidence at an all-time high, the thought of him entering the heavyweight division has the MMA world buzzing, and Bisping's suggestion might not be too far from reality. Before moving on to the next news, we have a quick request for you. We're always working to improve our content and truly value your support. If you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, it would mean a lot to us. Move on to another news. Sean Strickland has made it clear that he's charting his own path for his return to the octagon, and it doesn't include Israel Adesanya. Despite months of speculation about a possible rematch with Adesanya following the former champion's call-out at the UFC Hall of Fame red carpet, Strickland has shut down the idea entirely. Instead, he has his sights set on a different challenge: Anthony "Fluffy" Hernandez. In a recent interview with MMA Junkie, Strickland said he's more interested in fighting Hernandez than chasing a bigger name opponent. "I imagine me and Fluffy might be going at it. That's the fight that makes the most sense," he said. "I don't want Israel Adesanya. I'm not going to fight Izzy. I think it's an easier fight for me, but I want someone like Fluffy. He puts me right back in title contention, especially because all he does is grapple. He's like the American Khamzat Chimaev." Strickland went on to explain that facing Hernandez would be the perfect test of his own grappling skills, something he believes is underrated. "If I go out there and out-wrestle that guy for 5 rounds, that's a big statement," he continued. "It's like, alright, you beat your guys and let me know when you're ready. That's what I'm looking for. Fights that get me closer to the title." The former middleweight champion also doubled down on his confidence in his ground game. "I'm one of the best grapplers in the UFC," Strickland claimed. "People don't really get to see it, but I know what I can do. That's why I want this fight more than any other, to show that I can dominate on the ground. Give me 25 minutes with the American Chimaev, and let's see what happens." While fans continue to speculate about whether the UFC might still push for a blockbuster Adesanya rematch, Strickland's message is clear. He wants competition that tests his skills, not just sells tickets. A fight with Anthony Hernandez may not have the same star power, but it could prove to be the gritty technical battle that defines Strickland's next chapter in the middleweight division. Move on to another news. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson has voiced a strong opinion on the upcoming UFC White House card, arguing that neither Conor McGregor nor Jon Jones deserves to headline the historic event. Following Dana White's official announcement that the UFC will host an event at the White House on June 14th, fan discussions immediately centered around who would lead the card. The two biggest names in the conversation were McGregor and Jones, but Johnson believes the spotlight should belong to active fighters who have consistently been competing. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Johnson said that while both McGregor and Jones have legendary resumes, their recent inactivity shouldn't grant them automatic headliner status. If Jon Jones came back and actually fought guys like Jilton Almeida or Volkov, earned his way up, then sure, put him on the White House card, Johnson explained. "But I don't like when someone's been sitting on the sidelines, doing nothing, and still gets to choose when and where they fight. Maybe they've earned that right, but to me, the ones who are putting putting in the work right now should get that opportunity first. Johnson emphasized that the UFC has many active athletes who have been consistently proving themselves inside the octagon, and they deserve to be rewarded for their effort. John Jones has done incredible things in his career, no doubt, he said. But if you've got guys fighting their hearts out, taking risks, and staying active, they should get first dibs on something this big. Even for Conor, we don't need him on the White House card. Sure, he's got a good relationship with Donald Trump, but I'd rather see fighters who are grinding every day get that spotlight. Mighty Mouse's comments echo a growing sentiment among fans who want the UFC to prioritize current performers over legacy stars. For Johnson, the White House card isn't just another event. It's a historic opportunity that should celebrate the athletes actively shaping the sport today. Move on to another news. Speculation is swirling around UFC featherweight champion Ilia Topuria and his longtime partner Georgina Bedell, as fans suspect a possible breakup between the two. Bedell, a successful businesswoman often seen supporting Topuria cage side, has noticeably altered her social media presence, a move that immediately caught the attention of fans online. According to keen-eyed followers, Georgina has recently removed several photos featuring the couple, while Topuria's profile now only features a single family-related post including her. The sudden changes have fueled rumors that the pair may be going through a rough patch or even a separation. Despite the growing buzz, neither Topuria nor Bedell has addressed the situation publicly, and no official statement has been released from either side. The couple has been together for years and is widely regarded as married, sharing 2 children, a son and a daughter. Their relationship has often been portrayed as one of stability and support, with Georgina frequently accompanying Ilia during his rise through the UFC ranks. At this point, however, the speculation remains just that, unconfirmed online chatter based on social media activity. Without any direct comment from either Ilia Topuria or Georgina Bedell, it's unclear whether this reflects an actual separation or simply a personal decision to maintain more privacy. Until one of them addresses the rumors, fans are left wondering if the UFC champion's personal life is facing turbulence behind the scenes. Move on to another news. A major update has emerged in the case involving Raja Jackson, who now faces 2 serious criminal charges following a violent altercation with professional wrestler Psycho Stu. According to prosecutors, Jackson is being charged with felony battery, causing serious bodily injury, and misdemeanor battery. The charges stem from an incident in which Jackson allegedly slammed Stu to the ground and punched him repeatedly, over 20 times, including several blows after Stu had already lost consciousness. Authorities plan to pursue a sentencing enhancement due to the severity of the victim's injuries, which could increase Jackson's potential punishment if convicted. The assault left Stu hospitalized with multiple injuries, including several broken teeth, a deep laceration on his head, trauma to both his upper and lower jaws, a torn upper lip, and a fractured maxilla bone, resulting in tooth loss. Jackson was arrested last month and released on a $50,000 bond. However, he now faces up to 4 years in state prison for the felony charge, along with an additional year for the misdemeanor. The enhancement for causing great bodily harm could extend his sentence even further if found guilty. The incident has drawn widespread attention across the MMA and wrestling communities, sparking debate about aggression, discipline, and accountability among professional fighters. As the case progresses, fans and insiders alike are watching closely to see how the legal proceedings unfold and whether Jackson's career can recover from such a serious allegation. Move on to another news. Paddy Pimblett believes the UFC is in a better position with Alex Pereira as its champion. In his live reaction to Pereira's knockout win over Magomed Ankalaev, Paddy expressed admiration for Pereira's power and composure. "It's over. Oh my god, it's over already. That was fast," he said, describing how Ankalaev didn't even move after those sharp elbows. Paddy noted that he expected Ankalaev to recover and go for a single-leg takedown, but Pereira's strength and striking were simply too much. Pimblett added that Pereira's dominance and personality make him a much more exciting figure for the UFC. "He's so strong, so powerful. It's better for the UFC that he's champion. More people want to watch him fight," Paddy explained. He also shared his thoughts about Pereira possibly moving up to heavyweight, saying it would be sick to see him become a 2-division champion. However, he predicted that Pereira would defend his light heavyweight title at least once more before considering the jump. Discussing the heavyweight division, Paddy mentioned Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane as key figures. "You never know. Tom could beat Cyril and Pereira might be there saying he wants to fight him next," he speculated. Paddy concluded that while the idea of Pereira moving to heavyweight is exciting, the potential challenge from stronger grapplers could make that path more complicated. Overall, Pimblett praised Pereira's skills and presence, emphasizing that his reign brings more attention and excitement to the UFC than ever before. Move on to another news. Daniel Cormier recently expressed his belief that Merab Dvalishvili deserves to be recognized as the greatest bantamweight fighter in UFC history. During his discussion, Cormier emphasized that while many legendary fighters have graced the division, none have displayed the relentless dominance and consistency that Dvalishvili has shown. Cormier began by acknowledging the legacy of previous greats, particularly Dominick Cruz, who is widely regarded as one of the pioneers and most technical fighters in the bantamweight division. All credit to the greats, Dominick Cruz has always been, in my opinion, one of the best to ever do it, Cormier said. When you combine everything he achieved in the way with what he accomplished in the UFC, he truly set the standard for what a champion at 135 pounds could be. However, Cormier believes that Merab Dvalishvili has now surpassed that standard through his sheer dominance, work ethic, and unmatched pace inside the octagon. Without a shadow of a doubt, Cormier continued, Cormier highlighted how Dvalishvili's fighting style is a mix of non-stop movement, wrestling excellence, and overwhelming control. According to Cormier, Merab's ability to maintain that pace for 5 full rounds, without slowing down or giving opponents a single moment to breathe, separates him from every other fighter in the division's history. Reflecting on the division's evolution, Cormier admitted that he's watched countless fighters over the years, but has never seen anyone combine skill, discipline, and dominance at the level Merab currently operates. From my eyes, he said, I've never seen anybody better in this weight class. Merab has taken what Cruz built and elevated it to another level. The guy is a machine, pure and simple. Cormier's comments placed Dvalishvili in elite company, suggesting that the Georgian powerhouse may not only be the current best in the world, but could go down as the greatest bantamweight the sport has ever seen. Move on to another news. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has officially announced the date for the highly anticipated UFC White House event, confirming that it will take place on June 14, 2026, a date that also happens to be his birthday. The announcement has sent shockwaves through both the political and sports worlds, as it marks the first time in history that a major UFC fight will be hosted on the grounds of the White House. During a recent public appearance, Trump addressed a roaring crowd and proudly declared, on June 14th next year, we're going to have a big UFC fight at the White House, right there on the lawn at the White House itself. The statement immediately drew massive attention across social media platforms, sparking discussions among fight fans, political commentators, and UFC insiders alike. This announcement continues Trump's long-standing relationship with the UFC and its president, Dana White, with whom he has maintained a close friendship for decades. Trump was one of the first major figures to publicly support the UFC during its early years, long before it became the global powerhouse it is today. Over the years, Dana White has frequently expressed gratitude toward Trump for his early support and even spoke at several of Trump's political events. Hosting a UFC event at the White House is an unprecedented move, something that blurs the lines between sports entertainment, politics, and national history. If the plan goes forward as announced, the event would not only celebrate Trump's birthday, but also serve as a symbolic showcase of the UFC's rise from underground fighting to mainstream global recognition. Fans are already speculating about which fighters might headline the historic card. Some expect the UFC to feature its biggest stars, possibly including champions like Alex Pereira, Ilia Topuria, or Conor McGregor, should he be active by then. Others believe the UFC might stage a ceremonial or exhibition-style bout to mark the occasion, rather than a competitive title fight. Regardless of the fight lineup, Trump's announcement has generated massive buzz and curiosity. A UFC event at one of the most iconic locations in the world, the White House lawn, would be a spectacle unlike anything the sport has ever seen, further cementing its place in global culture and entertainment history. Move on to another news. Veteran fighter Jeremy Stephens has offered a heartfelt and humble reflection following his recent loss to Mike Perry at BKFC 82. The two brawlers went head-to-head in a brutal 5-round war that tested both men's durability and willpower. Ultimately, Perry earned a unanimous decision victory, leaving Stephens visibly battered, swollen, and without the coveted King of Violence title, yet far from defeated in spirit. Despite the outcome, Stephens made it clear he had no excuses for the loss, and showed nothing but respect for his opponent and the sport. In a powerful Instagram post shared the following day, Stephens wrote, "We went up against the odds once again and went to war with one of the toughest in the BKFC game. We had our differences, and we settled it like real dogs. No gloves, no excuses, just heart. That's what this sport's about." Stephens' words resonated deeply with fans who praised his honesty, toughness, and old-school warrior mentality. Known throughout his MMA and bare-knuckle career for his aggressive fighting style and fearlessness, Stephens once again proved that his legacy is defined not just by victories, but by the battles he's willing to take on. He went on to express gratitude toward BKFC President David Feldman, Mike Perry, and the fans who showed up in New York and New Jersey to support the event. This one wasn't about records, he added. It was about legacy and testing myself against the best. We did that. Grateful for my family, my team, my fans, my sponsors, and most of all, God for the strength to rise every time I fall. The loss to Perry marked another chapter in Steven's long and storied career, which has spanned over 15 years and included some of the most memorable wars in combat sports history. While many fighters might have used defeat as a reason to step back, Stevens made it clear he's far from done. His closing words, "We ain't done. Back to our weight, back to business," signaled that the 38-year-old warrior still has plenty of fight left in it. With that statement, Stevens reminded the fight world what's always set him apart: resilience, passion, and the unbreakable heart of a true fighter.